Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Video Truder, and welcome back to Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion, where it is time for the big push. We are driving the Eastern Roman Empire out of mainland Europe. They are going to be confined to this tiny little bit of their territory, whatever's left after the rampage of Appius the Honest, after their rebellions, after all the rest of it. I don't know what little's going to be left, but they can have it for all I care. Whatever. They can have the crumbs from my table, I suppose. And it feels somehow appropriate. I didn't even plan this. This just happened that at the moment of the big push, the three young shining lights of the Empire should be reunited right here to hang out, to swap notes, to savour the victory together. Lycianus Alimentus, the man who has never fought a fair fight in his life. Gundobad Norbanus, that sexy devil. And of course, Zeno Flavius, the man famed across the Empire for fighting with the scruffiest armies going and winning most, if not quite all, of the fights he's been involved with. But of course, we'll get to the Eastern Empire in a second, because there's one other big momentous event here too, and that is Emperor Spurius Flavius, the most Christian emperor who ever Christianed, is ready to defeat the Celts once and for all. We've got the towers, we've got the ladders, we've got the ballista. Let's take what is apparently the one city in the entirety of Ireland. Do you remember when Spurius Flavius first took command of this army? When we left Vicus Franci with a beautiful, well-considered force of legionaries, supporting spearmen, handful of archers. Just look at the army now, it's so scruffy. This is the battle-hardened remnants. So much of it's been lost, replaced, left behind as garrisons. Spurius Flavius is a serious, grizzled, hardcore veteran at this point. And the thing about this territory is they've basically got no infantry here. 2 units of crossbowmen, but they don't have flaming bolts, so there's nothing they can really do to stop this thing actually getting to the walls, unfortunately. So taking the walls shouldn't be a major problem at all. All we really need to do is take out the leader. And there is indeed 1 unit of spears right here, but we've got enough archers to deal with that. Hello, what's going on over here? Because some of you are taking... I'm guessing you're being shot by crossbowmen, right? Yeah, you're probably shooting... You're shooting them rather than the tower. That might well be what you're doing, yes. Still, no matter. These guys are basically just acting as a distraction. We've got troops coming up all over the walls. And as long as we've got enough heavy cavalry, we can just swarm the enemy general if need be. Right, first of the Comet 10 says I've made it up here. In which case, you guys just go and take out these guys. Shouldn't be a major problem at all there. We've got a couple of guys coming up along here. You guys are... Okay, this is the Auxilia Palatinus. Sorry, I didn't even mean to send you up, but go ahead, why not? There's dogs right over here. Do we have a unit of... Yeah, we've got a unit of archers right here. You guys, come up here and then just shoot those dogs down. You, go and secure the gate and get behind these guys. Yeah, one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat. Oh, blimey, they're actually firing their crossbows. That's actually kind of dangerous. If they were in hand-to-hand combat, we'd win easily. But if they're actually going to fire their crossbows, that's incredibly dangerous to these guys. Still, we've managed to take the walls here. Auxilia Palatina have managed to seize the gateway. That's absolutely fine. We've got archers coming in to climb the ladder momentarily. The hardcore infantry, the veterinarii, they're going to be coming up on the towers momentarily. And these guys are... They're holding for now, but they're shaken. Right, Spurius... Get in there, provide moral support by just using the magic horn of morale. And here come the reinforcements. Right, let's just actually get these guys surrounded. You guys attack here too. And now start cutting them down, please. Yeah, that's right. No flipping crossbows, please. Just swords. Yeah, now they're actually fighting hand to hand, we can absolutely annihilate them. Here's the fun thing about war dogs and wolfhounds and all that, by the way. Once they're released, the humans and the dogs are separate entities. Before they're released, the dogs and the humans are the same thing. So in the event that a human dies, a corresponding number of dogs auto die with him. And actually these guys are breaking right now. Spurius, just get in there and ride them down, please. Let's just finish them off. They're doing a really good job actually using their crossbows up on the walls, which they're not really supposed to be allowed to do once they're engaged in hand-to-hand combat, not least as, you know, they would blatantly be shooting each other in the back, but the game's sort of bugging out a bit here, and it's proving to be very effective. There we go, they finally agreed to actually fight on the walls. I've never seen that bug before, where crossbows insist on continuing to fire. and do so along the wall, making them incredibly powerful. That's very, very useful indeed. Well, you know, assuming it happens to your army and not the enemy. Well, seems like it's time for a scruffy end to a very scruffy campaign. The generals come out to meet my heavy cavalry. I don't actually have much in the way of infantry left, so I guess we're just taking care of it like this. Surrounding the enemy general and just murdering him the old-fashioned way by stabbing him with swords and also bringing up entirely fictitious horsemen. There we go. He just gets stabbed, taken down. Nice, and that was him, right? That wasn't Spurius. Good. That wasn't Spurius. That would have been embarrassing if he died in the last moment of the conquest. Right, these guys have decided not to pursue. Very clever, but they are spearmen, so bring up the archers, absolutely tear them apart. Alright guys, give them hell. And as it's the last battle of the campaign, go on then, flaming arrows, let's make it literal. And in come the... Oh, the frame rate, she doesn't like it. The frame rate doesn't like that one little bit, but screw it, we're gonna set them all on fire. And if they decide to come and attack us afterwards, I'll just use my heavy cavalry to destroy them. Oh, blimey, that hurts. That hurts right there. And yeah, if need be, if they're actually going to try and attack us, I'll just get my cavalry round over here. They're already wavering. They don't like it one little bit. And technically, we've won. But no. To the last man, please. To the last man. This here is the last pagan army that will ever exist in Britain. And if they're so determined to be pagan, let's give them a good pagan funeral. Oh, they're going for another charge. Right into the arrow fire. No. In comes the fire. And down goes the frame rate. And away they go. I like setting units on fire. It's good, clean fun. Oh, look at them melt. There's nothing left. Right, last two. Who wants to be the last one standing? Go on, who does it want to be? We might not even be able to tell. They're probably going to die. Yeah, I think it was this guy. He was the final one standing. Just. And with that, the British campaign has been won. Exterminate the population and, if I had to guess, they're already 45% Christian. Love it. What have we actually got here, by the way? Missile weapons +3. No, we can do without that. Get rid. Congratulations, you're Christian now. We'll give them some regular games just to actually cheer them up. The reason we can do that, by the way, is because there's a sufficiently high level of barracks. So if I were to be Roman, then this would be a hippodrome. So we're just going to treat these roll stables as if it were a hippodrome and thus hold races here or something. There we go. I've toggled it round and now it's actually reading races, just to confirm that's true. And at the end of the campaign, Spurius has actually picked up a bit of a title there. Spurius the Butcher. Right, but when we actually add that to the history books, let's note it was only pagans he butchered, so it's okay. And now just clear out the remnants of the Celtic fleet, sink those bastards, and now you guys are getting over here. Right, what do we actually have that we can... Oh, there's so much that needs retraining. You guys are so badly damaged. You have done so well. This has been a long campaign. And confirmation there, the Celts are gone and they are not a horde faction, so we don't need to worry about that. Britain has been secured. But it could have gone another way. And there's one thing I actually want to show you before we move back over to the Eastern Empire. So I've stepped back in time here to ask a very important question. What would have happened if Spurius Flavius had been a little bit late to Britain? What would have happened if the Celts had won the war? Because that triggers something very special in Barbarian Invasion. There we go, we've managed to lose Londinium. Somehow Placcus just wasn't up to the task. Though in all fairness, had I been trying to win, it probably wouldn't have worked. Not without Spurius' help. Placcus' entire front line was based on Limetane. It wouldn't have gone well. But Barbarian Invasion had a very fun mechanic, which is certain new factions could appear under certain circumstances if certain conditions were met. And one of them is Rome no longer has a presence on the British Isles. And if that does happen, a brand new faction spawns onto the map, the Romano-British. And you know the best thing about them? they are technically Cornish, because that is exactly where they spawn. They start down over here in Cornwall. That is their spawn point. If Rome is unable to defend Britain, the Cornish rise up to do it for themselves. It's amazing. And if I just get a spy close by, they have a really good starting army as well. They get those ridiculously solid heavy knights. They've got their own comitatenses, but they're renamed as British legionaries, and they also get their own limertane. They probably wish they didn't, but they do, that are renamed coastal levies. Basically, they get all the same units as the Western Roman Empire, and on top of that, they are actually allowed to train the heavy knights as well, which is really cool. And naturally, because they don't have access to a navy and they're trapped on the British Isles, they've got nothing to do but declare war against the Celts. They've got basically no one else to attack, so they will automatically just go and try to reclaim the British territories for Roman culture. It's really cool. I just know how this faction spawns under certain circumstances. There's a handful of these as well. Another one of them is exclusive to the Goths, so if the Goth Empire grows and then they suffer a rebellion, it doesn't actually just become a rebel town, in just the same way that the Western Roman Empire gets Western Roman rebels. Any Gothic rebellions will always go over to the Ostrogoths, who can become a significant faction in their own right if the Goths end up with a large empire. And you can see there, this starting army is no joke. Extremely heavy cavalry, legionaries, these guys are good. But luckily we live in a universe where the British don't need to rise up to defend themselves against the Celts, because the British are safe and secure in their beds thanks to Spurius Flavius, who is also sometimes referred to as the Butcher, but don't say that to his face because he gets very angry sometimes. And of course that brings us back to the big push. It's time to kick the Eastern Empire out of Thessalonica. No need to wait for siege equipment though, I think we'll just let ourselves in. The Eastern Empire has responded by sending peasants to hold the breach. Absolute utter tactical genius. I think this guy's got the right idea. Everybody, this one guy, he's figured it out. Oh, Steve, you are the wisest peasant of all, but no one decided to listen to you. They're going to regret that momentarily, because I think if we just turn slightly left, yeah, actually, the slaughter has already begun. Oh, they're sending up the heavy stuff. Comitatenses and Legio Lanciarii, nothing too major there. So if I just draw myself up nice and strong here with, yeah, units on guard mode, with fire at will on, we should be able to defeat these guys without too much difficulty. And, hang on, are they planning to? No, they're falling back. Cowards, the lot of them. Oh, here comes the first skirmish. It's Legio Lanciarii. Oh, those guys are just spearmen. They're not proper heavy infantry at all. They are not going to enjoy fighting comitatenses. So you guys, you know what? Stay out of guard mode. Just get in there and murder them. They are not going to have fun. They're already wavering, in fact. Right, bring up some cavalry. Let's chase them down. Oh, in comes round two. Comitatenses coming in now. So this is proper stuff at this point. They are marching towards us through the arch. More comitatenses behind them. I tried to take this tower. They were just able to stop me in time, which is why that unit over there is actually breaking right now. Still, we've got plenty of Pila coming in on these guys. I feel like these guys are much more experienced than these forces. These guys have no experience whatsoever. So yeah, we're going to be able to take them out, no problem. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is good. This is good stuff. Right, guys, out of guard mode. You don't need to be in guard mode. And deploy the Sarmatians. Just chase them down the moment they break, please. Oh, yeah, there they go. No problem whatsoever. Two units of comitatenses dealt with. Nice and easy. This tower's going to be annoying, by the way. Somebody please go and take that tower before it causes more trouble for me. There we go. Finally, we captured the walls. And actually, they've come off the walls. So now we can just walk around the walls, taking the walls and turning all the defences on the city owners. Well, that's just beautiful. In fact, actually, this here is nothing but archers. Right, well, in that case, we'll just ride them down with heavy cavalry, because you guys are going to be completely screwed. So in we go. You are shaken and broken and now dead. And you guys will be momentarily too. Lovely. Oh, watch out for the Plumbatari, though. They're coming in. They don't actually have a general here, but they do have some proper heavy infantry. But if you guys would like to actually follow me directly into tower range, that'd be great too. Oh yeah, the towers are just gonna start getting some easy kills against you. You know what, guys? Come over here. Let's have a fight right here next to this here tower. And so it ends the only proper way, with good, honest Roman steel cutting down treacherous fake Romans. And here we go. The final Steve falls, and this city is ours. So let's just do the Conquest Tango. Exterminate. And check for an arena. We do have an arena, in which case all of this can be knocked down. Congratulations, you're Christian now. Here, have some games to take the edge off it. And shockingly, I believe every single territory in the Empire that's physically capable of building something actually is right now. And I've still got 9,000 gold in the bank. So we're doing pretty well right now. The tiny handful of cities that aren't building anything, there's literally nothing to build. It's already been built. So, yeah, good times. So, distribution of labour. I feel like Flavius has some unfinished business down in Athens. So, he will bid goodbye to his good friends Lysianus and Gundobad, who he may have never met before. That might have actually been the first time he met. But history will record they are very good friends, and he's just going to go and take a small detachment and finish off the Athens business. And as for Spurius, the definitely not a butcher, I'd say his great crusade is done. It's time for him to come back down to civilization, maybe even enjoy some retirement, take up knitting, I don't know, something that just doesn't involve thousands and thousands of gallons of pagan blood anyway. Oh, but we have terrible news here. On the eve of our victory, Decimus Flavius has passed on. Now, he may have not been a great warrior, but he generated tens of thousands of denarii during his life. At the beginning of this campaign, he was just a kid, chilling out in Carolis with no future whatsoever. But we gave him a shot. We moved him to Rome itself, and he thrived there. He made so much money for us. That money paid for some of our early victories. He may have not led the armies, but without him, the world today might look very, very different indeed. And indeed, the people of Rome agreed so much that when he died, they rioted. They were just so furious at fate itself. They are burning Rome down right now. So you know what, guys? We can probably do with lowering the tax rate slightly. For Decimus Flavius, they would pay very high taxes. But with him gone, nothing more than low, actually. You know what? I'm going to build a Christian basilica. He can be interned under it. A massive monument to an unsung hero. Flavius, meanwhile, is going to be denied his revenge, at least for a few moments. Athens has had an outbreak of plague, so obviously we're not going to attack the city right now. We're just going to maintain the quarantine. We'll be back to finish them off in a minute. And there it is, Constantinople itself. They knew I was coming. They've thrown up some defences, but it's not going to be enough. And another sad death, Eutropius Flavius has passed on down in Syracuse. The man who was so competent, we decided to allow Syracuse to remain pagan. Not the only pagan settlement in the empire, of course. We have allowed both Vicus Franci and Campus Burgundii to remain pagan for training purposes. Those were strategic decisions. But Syracuse, it was just because the guy was a good guy. He wanted to be pagan. You know what? Have fun down there being pagan. Maybe one day Spurius Flavius will fix that. But for the time being, Syracuse, proudly pagan, and I don't even mind. But here we are. The moment has arrived. The moment that we are going to take the Eastern Roman capital off them. Their armies are scattered. They don't know whether they want to try and take Jerusalem or Alexandria or just bumble around near Antioch. But no force has come to defend Constantinople. Meaning it's now up to Lysianus and Gundobad to take the place down. I decided to bring along quite a few siege towers as this is a special occasion. Just FYI. Together with enough onagers to make sure we can knock down the gateway, so we won't have any trouble with that. Alright, towers taken care of. Deploy the needlessly large number of siege towers. And actually, deploy additional siege towers for no reason other than to shoot down the first cohort, which appears to be right there in a very convenient location to shoot down. So this tower's not even planning to make it to the walls. We're just going to use the built-in ballista to annihilate these bastards. In fact, you know what? Bring up more siege towers. Oh, in come the ballista bolts. Loving it. Loving it. So those guys are going to start being torn apart. More coming in from over there. And momentarily these guys should start firing too. Oh, this is lovely. You don't often see them coming in from this many angles. Well done to these guys for continuing to stand and fight, quite frankly. Oh, this is beautiful. This is absolutely flipping beautiful. I love watching this happen. It's great. Have they decided to actually... No, they're trying to toss the peeler. Well done, guys. Well done. And oh, just look at them fly. Just look at them fly. We're littering the Limetane with corpses. We're using their own men as projectiles. And these guys can just stay here and continue firing. And these guys can just come in and do the same, because why not, eh? They're desperately trying to stand and fight, but no, it's not working out for them. There's just way too much firepower here. And thankfully, though I might be impacted by the actual siege tower bug, there it is right there. I brought enough spare siege towers, it kind of doesn't matter. There we go, one more siege tower operating correctly. And that one seems to be working fine too. And these guys are just not doing anything. Guys, you planning to... get on top of the wall? Yeah? No? Maybe? Right, haven't seen this one before. They're just standing there doing nothing. Love it. And in come the troops. Right. Take out the archers before they accidentally set something on fire, please. And more troops pile out onto the walls. Should be plenty enough to seize control of the gatehouse and as a result start shooting down all of these bastards. There we go. Gateway falls straight to us. We got these guys surrounded. These guys come up too. And the first cohort is... oh, is the first cohort breaking? No, that's the Eastern Archers. The first cohort is... I think it's hanging on for now. Just... and the Plumbatari, due credit to them, they are throwing projectiles from down here up onto the wall. Well done. That's really impressive. But I think we could potentially get in on some of that ourselves. So there's some lovely Limetane down here. How about Peeler from above? Because Peeler from above really flipping hurt. Oh, love it. They just broke instantly. Nice. And the first cohort is breaking. The cowards can't even be bothered to defend the eagle. And you know what? I think it's time for Lysianus and Gundobad to lead from the front. I see some units hanging out back here. Let's get in there and ride them down. Spearmen, you say? We're not afraid of spearmen, mainly because they're Limetane, so no one needs to be afraid of them. And here come the cavalry. And are these guys going to... yeah, they're going to break pretty much immediately, aren't they? Not going to stand against Sarmatians. Nobody stands against Sarmatians. Down they go. And I believe the general himself is over there. And when we say general, I mean captain. Because none of the heavy infantry actually wanted to be general in this fight. They just said, you know what, we'll just let the archers do it. Archers who can't actually be bothered to fire their bows. So I guess we'll just chop them down in that case. They did take out one Sarmatian though, so that's one more than I was expecting. Well done, guys. But at the end, would it be fair to end this in any other way than with the tactics that have won us so many battles? Well-trained Roman archers behind heavy combatant headsets. So just lure them in for one last scrap. And so it comes to the last Eastern Roman in Constantinople, and naturally enough, it's gonna be a peasant. And with that, we have won. The Romans have been reunited. And with that, we have officially won the campaign. But that's not quite the end, actually. And down we go, claiming the city for us, and victory. The Roman Empire is triumphant, the legacy of Caesar has been renewed, and the legions now stand guard over a united people. Aside from, like, Asia Minor and other bits of the Middle East, but... you know, mostly a united people. The barbarians have been kept out, and a new age stretches before you as ruler of the known world. Aside from huge parts of it which we blatantly don't own. But whatever, we are going to continue playing because there's actually slightly more to it than that. You see, just like Medieval 2 Total War, Barbarian Invasion has a Mongol invasion event. Not with the Mongols, obviously, but in the sense that, at a certain date, a new horde faction spawns onto the map. Now, at first glance, they don't look so bad, but there is a rather nasty trick to them. So as a result of that, I'd like to actually move forward to that, and not say we've won until that faction has been, in whatever way, dealt with. So next turn it'll be 400 AD. The faction in question shows up at 410 AD, so in 20 turns. So, for the sake of fairness, at this point I'm just going to move time forward every single turn. I'm not going to train any more troops. All my existing armies are going to stay pretty much exactly where they are. I'm not going to in any way make preparations. I'm just going to pretend that the Horde's going to arrive next turn because that's a bit more interesting. I will spend my money so I don't have a huge war chest just on day-to-day upgrades around the Empire, but other than that there will be basically no change whatsoever between the universe as you see it right now and the universe you're about to see in a minute. Of course, if there are any major changes like rebellions or factions dying or whatever, I will mention them. Other than that, I'll see you at the Horde's arrival. The year is 405 and as a result we are halfway there, but sadly, Spurius Flavius, the most Christian butcher who ever Christianed, will not be there to see the final Horde. The man has passed on of natural causes. He was just chilling out in Augusta Trevorum. He did indeed take up knitting. Admittedly, all he made were dolls of pagans that he then went on to crucify. It was a little bit on the weird side, but he had a happy retirement, damn it, it's what he loved doing. And so we welcome our new emperor, Emperor Gundobad Norbanus, the sexiest emperor of all. And to his credit, he has taken after Spurius Flavius. Not so much in the murdering of all the pagans thing, but he has shown an interest in theology. He's taken a vow of poverty, he's interested in the theories of Arius about the nature of Christ. You know what, he's put some thought into this. He's a well-considered Christian, more about converting people than just murdering them, which in some ways is probably better. Other sad losses include Appius the Honest, who officially died of natural causes, but there were definitely a large number of assassins floating around, so I'm not sure I believe that. And Placus the Horseman, who passed away in an entirely Christianized island, the last pagan in the whole of Britain. I am aware, by the way, that you can just use console commands to change the date, but I have also seen it mentioned before that can mess with the date triggers in Barbarian Invasion, so just for safety, I'm not going to do that in case I accidentally cause the Horde not to spawn at all. And here we are, the year is 410, and the Slavs have emerged, somewhere up north. Now honestly, I thought I'd already have visibility of them. I thought they were just about here, but hang on. I do have spies floating around this part of the world. Maybe they don't actually appear on the map until next turn. I thought it was somewhere around here anyway. No major changes, by the way, aside from the fact the Sarmatians have been a bit active. They've actually gone and taken the old Vandal homeland off the Lombardy. Though the Lombardy do actually still have the supposed original homeland of the Sarmatians. Though weirdly, there is both Sarmatia and Locus Sarmati, which is just the place of the Sarmatians, but what have you. In fact, it looks like they're going to be able to take out the capital of the Lombardy, which will give them access to a decent level of tech, which will be very useful because between that and Dacia, they've actually got some decent cities these days. And even better, they haven't declared war on me. They've gone for someone other than the player, which is just absolutely remarkable. And as promised, basically nothing has changed. I did, of course, allow Zeno to take Athens. Lysianus is just chilling out in Thessalonica, and Emperor Gundobad is chilling out in Constantinople. But for the most part, everything is exactly as it was. I've repaired units that were damaged if they happened to be inside a city. Other than that, the only units I've trained are units that were needed to avoid public order issues. No major deaths, actually. It's been a quiet 5 years. Now you're probably thinking, John, it's one horde. You've dealt with multiple hordes already. This is not a big deal. Well, the thing about the Slavs is, they are extremely well set up to be a much bigger threat than they actually ought to be. Because they spawn somewhere around up here and start making their way south. Now, if you've been playing as the Western Roman Empire, as I have, the most logical thing you can do is try and take the capitals of the various barbarian factions and drive them further and further east. Take away their economies, take away their tech, leave them with tiny villages at the edge of the world so they can't pose any threat to you. Which is exactly what's happened to the Franks, it's exactly what's happened to the Burgundy, and kind of by accident it's going to happen to the Lombardy too, because if the Sarmatians are able to take their capital, they'll have nothing left but this tiny village over here. So sure, everything looks good right now, but everything's also been horrendously set up for a terrifying cascade effect. Because what happens if the Slavs knock over the incredibly vulnerable village of the Burgundy? Well, the Burgundy are going to horde. And what happens if they knock out the one remaining village of the Lombardy? They're going to horde as well. What happens if any of those hordes knock out the one remaining town of the Franks? They horde too. So, we're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. we now need to deal with the Slavs and any other hordes that they themselves kick off, because this most definitely could go extremely wrong yet. We may have driven the Eastern Empire off the European mainland, but oh, the hordes could be a disaster for the Empire as yet. We could well lose a lot of territory before we're able to actually stabilise things, ladies and gentlemen. So, while we have technically got to the end of the campaign, there is a very real possibility the greatest threat has only just emerged. So we will pick that up next time, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been Many a True Nut, and this has been Rome Total War with Barbarian Invasion. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
This guy's enjoying that. This guy's enjoying his elephant a bit too much.
Oh my god.
In fair Verona, we set our scene. Oh my god, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big. They've managed to glitch inside one of the buildings. Elephants in the rear! And then in come the chariots!